After 10 seasons and 548 games, Mike Muscala announced his retirement, which for a role-playing journeyman that averaged 5.9 points a game in his career, maybe that doesn't sound all that interesting to you.
Well, don't put words in my mouth.
But what makes Mike Muscala very interesting is he actually hit one of the most underrated shots in NBA lore, a butterfly effect three that changed the course of history for multiple teams with one bucket, and also made him a Philadelphia 76ers legend. First, who is Mike Muscala? The Moose, or Muskie as his teammates called him, is from Roseville, Minnesota, and went to Bucknell, a small college in Union County, Pennsylvania. Muscala was a four-year player and actually the all-time leading scorer for the Bison, and then drafted 44th overall and traded on draft night to the Hawks. At 6'11", with a pure shooting stroke and good rim protecting ability, Muscala played one season overseas in Spain before joining the Hawks in the 2013-14 season.
Activate! Form of a hawk!
He spent 5 seasons in Atlanta, carving out a role as a serviceable stretch big before he was traded to the 76ers in a 3-team deal, actually involving the Thunder, coincidentally. And that was the Carmelo Anthony trade that sent him to Atlanta and brought Dennis Schroeder to OKC, by the way, which, of course, also had some pretty wild branching effects to it. Muscala played 47 games for the Sixers, averaging 7.4 points, which you might be wondering, wait, why exactly is he a Philly legend again? But we'll get to that here in a minute.
I'm breathless with anticipation.
The Sixers traded him to the Clippers, along with Wilson Chandler and Landry Shamet, for Tobias Harris, Boban, and Mike Scott. But a day later, in one of the more random NBA trades, he was sent next door to the Lakers for Michael Beasley and Ivica Zubac. He played 17 games for the Lakers, doing what he does, adding good punch off the bench as a stretch 5, hitting 37% from 3, which made him a reasonably attractive free agent in the summer of 2019. The Thunder were coming off a season where they won 49 games behind Paul George and Russell Westbrook, but were bounced in the first round in 6 games by Damian Lillard, and you might remember waving goodbye to them. With George and Westbrook, the Thunder had good teams that flashed plenty of championship potential, but went back-to-back seasons out in the first round. So the team was looking to find some role-playing upgrades around them. Muscala was such a target that Sam Presti flew to meet him in Minnesota as the opening bell rang at midnight for free agency in 2019. Muscala said this about it: "For a player like me, that's not common. It was really flattering." So Muscala, along with Alec Burks, agreed to a deal to sign with the Thunder, adding that much-needed shooting and spacing for George and Westbrook. However, 5 days later, in the middle of the night, Paul George was traded to the Clippers. With the dynamics of the team drastically changed, Presti gave both Muscala and Burks the opportunity to reopen and reevaluate their free agency and explore other options, while also maintaining the Thunder's offers were still good. Burks ended up signing with the Warriors. Muscala, though, decided to remain committed to the Thunder. Of course, that was kind of the end of an overall era for OKC, with the Thunder then soon trading Westbrook to the Rockets for Chris Paul, kicking off a transitional pivot for the Thunder. After the trade of Paul George and Westbrook, the Thunder had a war chest of draft capital, but ironically, actually didn't own their own pick in the next draft, and that's important. So let me back up a little to 2016. After Kevin Durant left the Thunder that summer, OKC was making some roster adjustments as they rebuilt their team around Westbrook and made an under-the-radar deal with the 76ers for Jeremy Grant, sending back Ersan Ilyasova and a protected first-round pick in 2020. The pick was top 20 protected, and if it fell outside of 20 in 2020, that's a lot of 20s, it would become second-round picks in 2022 and 2023. So just to make all that clear, if the Thunder pick was between 1 and 20, the Thunder got it. If it was between 21 and 30, the Sixers got it. This will be important shortly.
A huge steaming ball of foreshadowing.
The Thunder were a lot better than people expected that season after trading Westbrook and George. Chris Paul was rejuvenated, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was in the early stages of his superstar rise. Dennis Schroeder was a Sixth Man of the Year candidate. Danilo Gallinari and Steven Adams were quality veteran starters. And Mike Muscala was the solid stretch shooting big the Thunder envisioned him to be.
Nothing's gonna stop us now.
But on March 11th, they were 40-24 with a chance to move into solo fourth in the West against the Utah Jazz when the world came to a screeching halt in Oklahoma City. The NBA shut down, and after a couple months off, restarted in the bubble at Walt Disney World. I know you already know all of this, but man, it's really pretty wild to say all of that out loud. Like, can you believe that happened?
You don't need to remind me.
Anyway, part of the restart was teams would play 8 regular season games, in one part for a tune-up for the playoffs, but also for seeding, both for the playoffs and also in the reverse standings. The Thunder were 3-3 in the restart and were going to fall somewhere between 4, 5, or 6 in the West. And with no concerns about home court advantage in the bubble, seeding mattered a lot less, keep in mind. But the undercurrent of their next game was that Jerami Grant first-round pick. The Thunder were tied in the standings across conferences with the Miami Heat with 2 games to go, both sitting at 10th overall, who happened to also be the Thunder's next opponent. A win for OKC and the pick owed to the 76ers would be locked in. A loss, and it would likely be that the Thunder would keep their pick. After a quarter, the Heat led by 13 and maintained that for most of the game. Heading into the fourth, the Thunder were down 18. Andre Robertson, who also made a miraculous comeback from multiple knee injury setbacks to finally make it back to the floor, hit a 3 early in that fourth quarter. Darius Bazley got hot and hit 4 threes in the fourth. And with 34 seconds left, the Thunder were down 3, and Mike Muscala drained a corner 3 off an offensive rebound to tie the game. Solomon Hill answered with a layup to give Miami a 2-point lead with 11.6 seconds left. The ball on the Thunder's next possession went into Bazley, who drove left and jumped in the air, caught for a moment with nowhere to go. He found Muscala on the right wing, who had to catch the low pass off his shoe tops, and with that pure release from up high at 6'11", Muscala canned a 3 to put OKC up 1 with 5.2 seconds left. Tyler Hero couldn't answer at the buzzer, and the Thunder won 116-115. And now they were up on the Heat in the standings, and their pick was officially headed to Philly.
Yay.
Now, one quick additional twist to this. The Thunder actually finished tied with the Rockets and Jazz at 44-28. So in the event that happens, the NBA determines draft order by conducting a literal coin flip. And the Thunder won that yet again, taking the coin flip over the Jazz and the Rockets, officially slotting that pick that was headed to Philadelphia at number 21. The 2020 draft was a weird one, conducted virtually with socially distanced green rooms set up in personal living rooms, with Anthony Edwards going number 1 overall. And the 21st pick was a quick point guard from the University of Kentucky named Tyrese Maxey. And if you need a quick refresher, Maxey became the Sixers' starting point guard in his second season, averaged 20 a game in his third season, and became an all-star and won Most Improved last season. His connection to Muscala and that shot in the bubble is lasting, with him even mentioning it after a career-high 50-point game. He said, "I've seen it all and it's great. That's cool. I mean, that's just ironic, I guess. Shout out to Mike. I like being here." And of course, on the day that Muskie announced his retirement, the 76ers showed their appreciation for the Moose as well. And here's just another quick sidebar about that 21st overall pick, just to add to all this chaos about how close, double close, Maxey almost was to never being a Sixer. The 76ers actually traded that protected pick to the Magic for the number 25 pick in the 2017 draft. They used that pick to select, I'll just let you read it, a Latvian player who never made it to the NBA. But they got the pick back in 2019 as part of a trade that sent Markelle Fultz to the Magic. It's all one of those weird butterfly effect moments. If Muscala had missed that 3, Or maybe just not even been on the floor for that shot. Maybe the Thunder are keeping that top 20 pick. Who knows who they take? They'd just taken Aleksej Pokusevski at number 17 in the draft, so what do they do at 20? With a young guard like SGA already, maybe they pass on Maxey anyway. Or maybe they take him to pair with his old Kentucky pal. Josh Green went number 18, Saddiq Bey went 19, Precious Achiuwa at 20, Zeke Naji went 22. Who knows? And then, what happens with the trajectory of the Thunder? After they traded Chris Paul and Steven Adams to completely shift to the rebuild, how does it go from there? Would they have gotten the 6th pick in 2021 or the number 2 pick in 2022? How do other things shake out? Does the Clippers pick convey that became J-Dub at number 12? In all reality, literally, the best long-term outcome for the Thunder may have been that shot actually going in, because for both teams, things seemed to work out pretty well in the end. And of course, after 3 seasons, Muscala moved on from the Thunder, traded to the contending Celtics in 2023. He was then moved to the Wizards after that season, then traded to Detroit last season, but after being waived with a roster spot open now for the Thunder, he made a triumphant return to OKC for the second half of last season. A fan favorite, a great teammate, a complete consummate professional, an all-around good guy, Mike Muscala spent 10 very eventful seasons in the NBA and also hit one of the most unlikely big shots in NBA history. Like Tyrese Maxey said, shout out to Mike.
Call me Mike Jaws, or the best kept secret. Coming from Atlanta where the Hawks stay screeching. I got 3 goals and I ain't talking about a hat trick. 1, win the championship. 2, make a smash it. 3, have a baby with my lady, then some grandkids. These other rappers shaky Charles backswing. Trying to find the recipe, I call him plankton. The flow so appealing, best rapper in the league. Aw man, what a feeling. Showing y'all I can spit. What up, Shaq, Charles, Ernie, Kenny, the Jet Smith?